Welcome to Hook It and Cook It. I'm your host, Frank Willem. Today we're going to learn how to make red snapper pontchartrain with Chef Walter Smith from the Island View Casino. But before we cook it, we got to go hook it. On a recent trip aboard my sport fish boat Vixen, we headed out to target snapper with my daughter Brittany and her friend Louise, and boy did we find them. As soon as we reached the site and dropped our baits, the action was on.
You got a fish here, Britt?
The fish were hungry, big, full of fight, and the ladies had their hands full. But the ladies didn't just catch snapper, they caught a remora,
Louise with her first remora,
a shark, and even an amberjack half eaten by a shark.
Nice. Oh, look at that, half of a fish.
What a day. With our limit of snapper in the box and 2 tired ladies, it was finally time to call it a day and head back to the dock to clean fish and cook them. We've got some red snapper, now it's time to get started. We'll fillet it and learn how to make a tasty risotto after this. Welcome back to Hook It and Cook It. Let's join Chef Walter in the kitchen and see what he's got in store for us.
Today we're going to do a red snapper pontchartrain with a smoked tomato and mushroom risotto. I think those two will go really well together, and then we're going to top that with a nice pontchartrain sauce with some tomatoes and colossal crab meat. It's gorgeous.
You got my mouth watering already.
Yeah. So we're going to get started, and I've got 2 pieces of red snapper here that I want to skin, and I broke these down off of about a 4 to 6 pound snapper. And you know, to skin this, I'm using a nice flexible boning knife, and I just want to go as close to the skin as possible. I really want to be able to, you know, turn that into a pair of boots.
Boy, you got to cut it pretty close there, I'll say that.
We're not losing any flesh there, you know what I'm saying?
None at all.
So let me get this other piece, and then what we'll do is we'll break this down into about a 6 to 8 ounce portion of fish per portion, and we're going to do 2 plates so that you can have some and I can have some.
Good. I was hoping you had one for me.
Okay. Now, there's a couple places that you want to look for bones here. You're going to have a piece right here on the head piece, which may have bones where it's connected to the head of the fish. And then you're also going to have a bone line right here where your rib bones are. And I've got a pair of needle nose pliers. I just want to pull those out as much as possible. You know, get those out. And if all else fails, you can use your trusty fillet knife and just cut right next to the bone there and make a V. And when you're buying this from your fishmonger, that's pretty much what you're going to see. They're not going to waste the time pulling those bones out by hand.
They also, I know, gets the bloodline out there too, right?
It does. Pulls all that out. Okay. So scrap that. Make sure there's no scales on there, and then we'll do the same thing to this piece. Just trim it up a little bit and cut that off of there. And we'll get those bone lines out.
Another little V there.
Okay. Now, I want to break this into about, like I said, about a 6 ounce portion. So I'm just going to follow the natural contour of the fish when I'm cutting that down, and just do a nice cut, you know, a bias cut there, and then I'll do it one more time so that we can stack this on that nice risotto.
The bias is just for appearance, or what?
It's for appearance, and it's a natural. It looks a little bit more natural. If I was portioning that out, it would look like a portion of fish rather than a block.
Right, that you chopped off, right.
Okay.
Looks like you've done this before too.
I've done this a few times. You know, we serve about 700 of these a month in C&G Grill.
Wow.
So, okay, so that's our fish. So now we're going to start our risotto. I'm going to turn this up. I've got this preheated. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Let me get these gloves off here.
Alrighty.
I'll get rid of that. and we'll get started. I've got about 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. I'm just going to pour that in.
Any particular comments on the type of olive oil?
It's just a nice extra virgin olive oil. The brand name or the type doesn't necessarily matter, as long as it's extra virgin. Now, I've got mushrooms that I've smoked off. We smoked those at about 250 degrees for about a good 30 minutes or so. And you see the color.
Oh yeah, that looks
You see
nice.
the color
Yeah.
and just smell that. I know they can't smell it on the show.
Oh
but
man, that's
That's
got to
incredible.
taste great with that smell.
Yep. And so that's what you're looking for. You hear that sizzle?
Yep.
That's what we want. And then the same thing here. I've got the smoked tomatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and get those in. Moving along here. Okay. Once that starts to cook, I'm going to go a little bit of garlic. I've got some seafood seasoning.
About how much garlic and seasoning is that?
It's about a tablespoon of garlic and about a tablespoon and a half of seasoning.
Okay.
And I just want to start to caramelize that, and let that stuff start to break down. Let those tomatoes start to release a little bit of juice. I'm going to add about a half a cup of chicken stock to it, okay?
Okay.
I've got some fresh basil. And I've got risotto that I've pre-cooked. Risotto takes a long time to cook, so I don't want to, it's about a 40-minute process to get risotto cooked. So I want to get this in, and I want to get that pre-cooked risotto broken up and let it really start to marry with the flavors of the mushroom and the tomatoes. And then once that gets hot, we're ready, okay? And I'm going to thicken it up with just a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Turn that up just a hair. And we'll let that.
How far in advance can you cook the risotto?
Well, you can go 2-3 days out.
Oh, okay. So plenty of
time. If you're planning on a big party, you can go 2-3 days out.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
Parmesan and that's it.
That's it.
We've made the risotto and filleted the snapper. After this break, Chef Walter puts it in the pan and shows you how to make a delicious Pontchartrain sauce. Welcome back to Hook It and Cook It. We've got a great Pontchartrain sauce recipe for you in a bit, but first, Chef Walter is ready to cook the red snapper.
Next, we're going to pan fry our fish. So I'm going to start this skillet out on a little bit of a medium flame. And we preheated our skillet just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and add. I've got about 6 ounces of vegetable oil here. It's just a canola oil will be fine, vegetable oil will be fine. Now, if you can see the way this is starting to shimmer, that's how you're going to judge your heat, because I don't have enough oil to put a thermometer in there.
Yeah, okay.
Normally, if you're frying fish, it's going to be about 325, 350 degrees. So that's equivalent to what we're looking for here. But the way I'm going to test this is I've got a little seasoned flour, and this is in-house made seafood seasoning that we're using to season this flour with. And I probably have half a cup of seasoning to about 4 cups of flour.
Okay.
All right? But I just want to see, we're starting to get a little bit of bubble. It's not quite hot enough.
Crank it up a little bit.
Turn it up just a little bit.
Okay.
I want to see it nice and sizzling hot. But by the time I get my fish breaded, but you want to make sure you get it fully coated.
Okay.
Nice coated. And then we're going to put presentation side down first.
Okay.
Because I only want to turn this fish one time. Okay? And we're going to go about 2 minutes aside here. It's going to be relatively quick.
Okay. All right. Looks good. Now, I understand that you worked in the governor's mansion for a while. Tell us about that.
I did. I was very blessed to be able to work there. I worked for 3.5 years during Ronnie Musgrove's administration, and it was just an awesome experience. While I was there, I got to feed King Juan Carlos and Queen Sofia of Spain.
Wow.
For the Spanish exhibition when it came to Jackson through the cultural exchange program that they had there. So that was an interesting experience.
Well, I understand not only have you had a lot of experience, but you also have a certain certification that a lot of chefs would be very envious of. Tell us about that.
In 2012, I was able to, with the help of the casino here, I was able to qualify and certify as a certified executive chef through the American Culinary Federation.
Well, there's not many that are certified to that level either, are there? On the coast here?
There's probably 4 or 5 certified chefs here on the coast.
Really? That makes you pretty special, huh?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. But I'm very grateful. How about that?
I see. All right, so you cooked this about how long? You said 2 minutes?
So we're going to go about 2 minutes aside here. And what you're looking for is you're really looking for this to start to turn white around the outside. I want to get a nice, I want the flour to caramelize really well, you know, and get a nice brown crust on there. And then I want to turn that over and let it go. So we're just about there. It's starting to, you can start to see these pieces are not very thick. They're cut and butchered really nicely, so they're going to go very quickly. And I want to make sure that I don't splash myself. So I always tilt that pan away from me.
Away from me, yeah. Okay.
Right? When I'm turning that fish over.
And you only want to turn it once to avoid breaking up the fillet, is that?
You only want to turn it once. The more time you can leave it down on the cooking surface, the faster it's going to cook, right?
Well, that's looking great already.
It is looking good. So, but this is a nice dish. As I said before, you know, we serve about 700 of these a month.
It's a lot of fish.
Out of our restaurant. It is a lot of fish, and our restaurant is one of the busier restaurants here on the property. We end up serving approximately between 3,500 to 3,700 guests a week.
Wow.
Out of our outlet. You know, I think our buffet has us beat out. They're doing about 50,000 covers a month through the buffet, but so we're doing about 16 or 17,000.
That's a lot. That's a lot of dishes. So, now tell me about this. If you don't have snapper, are there other fish that would work as well?
Sure, you can do. You know, grouper works well, especially pan fried like this. So these are about ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out, and then we'll get ready to make the sauce.
How about like trout or redfish? Would they work?
Oh, absolutely. Redfish works very well. Okay, so I want to drain this, the majority of this oil, and then I'm going to use the residual oil in the pan to flavor the sauce with. You see we've got some debris here in the sauce.
Now let me guess, I'm guessing this is the Pontchartrain sauce next, right?
This is the Pontchartrain sauce. And like I said before, we're going to use the residual debris here in the bottom of the pan, the fond, to pick up that flavor,
yeah.
Right? So what I want to start with, I've got a little bit of residual oil there, and I'm going to go with my tomatoes. So you hear that sizzle.
Right.
That's what we're looking for. You want to be able to caramelize this stuff and really get it broken down good. Okay?
And about how much tomato and mushroom is that?
I used 1 Roma tomato seeded. And I used about 1/4 cup of mushrooms.
Okay.
And I'm going to add a little bit of seafood seasoning. Like I said, we make this ourselves. There's some dry herbs, oregano, thyme, and basil, and then garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, a little cayenne pepper, and salt. You just want to, and that's about 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
Okay? And this is going to help really start to caramelize this dish. I don't need a whole lot of fat because I'm going to use heavy cream.
That kind of brings it together, right?
That's going to bring it all together, right? And this is a reduction sauce, so it is going to have to cook down. So I've got a little bit of garlic. I always add my garlic after my other vegetables so it doesn't burn. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of garlic. We're making 2 sauces here. Remember now, we've got 2 plates.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And then I've got some fresh herbs. That's fresh chopped basil. It's about a tablespoon of basil.
Okay.
And then I'm going to add a little bit of white wine.
Any particular type of white wine?
I just use Chardonnay. And it's like we always say, if you won't drink it, don't cook with it. So what that's going to do is it's going to start to pick the flavor up off the bottom of that pan. So I've got my wine in there, I want my lemon juice. That's just the juice of half a lemon. I'm using a little bit of chicken stock versus seafood stock because it has a little bit more depth of flavor.
Okay. How important is the sequence of this other than the vegetables and the garlic?
You really want to be able to deglaze with a white wine because it's going to denature the alcohol and it's going to start to pick up that debris off the bottom of the pan and really start to develop flavor.
More so than if you had the broth first.
Right. The wine has a little bit more sugar content, obviously, than the stock. So that's part of it too. As it cooks down, it's going to intensify the flavor. So we're going to go in, we're starting to reduce here, okay, which we're cooking all that water out.
It smells wonderful
So we're going to add our heavy cream.
Alrighty.
And last but not least, I'm going to add some green onions and then the crab meat. I always add the crab meat last because the crab meat's already cooked. I don't need to cook it. All I need to do is heat it through and warm it up. And look at the size of those things.
Those are huge.
Isn't that gorgeous?
It's taken me a lot of self-control to keep my fingers out of them, I have to tell you that.
That's about 4 ounces of colossal crab. This stuff is just beautiful.
Is that blue crab now? Or is that?
It is blue crab,
It is.
yes.
That's big blue crab.
It is big. Okay, so this is going to cook down just a little bit. You're starting to see it caramelize really well around the sides. And you'll notice that the red hue that we're developing, which is the Pontchartrain sauce, okay? Pontchartrain sauce is a New Orleans, based on Lake Pontchartrain for the person that the lake was named after. And a lot of people also call it cardinal sauce for the color of the Cardinals' robe.
Really?
That's correct.
I did not know that. I've heard Pontchartrain, I've not heard Cardinal.
So I think we're there.
All right.
So we need to grab the fish and then we'll put this stuff together and we'll sit down and have dinner.
That's the best part.
All right, the fish is fried, the risotto's ready, the sauce is simmering. When we return, it's taste time for Chef Walter's Red Snapper Pontchartrain. Chef Walter from Island View Casino has just finished making his Red Snapper Pontchartrain. Let's put it on a plate and enjoy his creation.
Walter, the whole time you were cooking, it looked great, but I tell you what, having put it all together in this presentation, looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's going to go really well. The heavy cream with the risotto, and then we picked a really nice Chardonnay to really complement the smoke of the mushrooms and the tomatoes, and the softness and buttery sweetness of that crab meat.
Oh, and those chunks of crab meat. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, let's
give it a try.
Let's give it a shot.
All right. That is outstanding. That is excellent, Walter. I'll tell you what. You get a little spice there. I guess the Pontchartrain sauce has a little bite to it, but the crab meat, that's wonderful.
It does have a little cayenne, and that crab meat is phenomenal.
Let's try the Chardonnay with it and see how that goes. Yes, that's a nice one. That's really nice.
Doesn't that complement it very well?
And the way you stack it up, the risotto on the bottom, let me try one of these mushrooms here. They look great. You taste that smoky flavor?
Not enough to detract from the sauce, though.
But just enough to give it a little compliment. Yes, you did an outstanding job. I'll tell you what, all the dishes here, I know are good at seeing G-Grub, but this is the best. Huh?
Well, thank you very much. We enjoy cooking for folks, and we hope you guys will, come have dinner with us.
Well, I know all the dishes at C&G Grill are great, but this is fantastic. Everyone ought to go and try this. You couldn't beat it anywhere. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Walter. Appreciate you having us here, and appreciate the wonderful dish you created for us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Well, you learned how to make Red Snapper Pontchartrain. I'd like to thank Chef Walter Smith from the Island View Casino for showing us how it's done. And remember, you can find the recipe on Facebook or our webpage, hookitandcookit.biz. Join us next time for another delicious edition of Hook It and Cook It.